Welcome to a brand new episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Brian Reinhardt. This is episode number 134 for those tracking at home. And I'm going to have to introduce our guest. He's the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio. Pat, how was your Christmas?
Brian, I think it was Thanksgiving. What are you talking about?
I asked you how your Christmas was because you have not been on your own podcast.
Well, I've been chasing you around, now that everyone's got to be back at work. I know where you're employed at and you have to be in the office again. It's been hard to get a hold of you.
Should have a note. I'm not a federal employee. I'm a state employee, but
either way, it's good to get you back working. But
Pat, it's great to see your face on this podcast. We joke, but it has been over a month. I don't know what kind of media rights deal you signed here.
I don't know, but the podcast has been getting some good views, apparently.
I will say, podcast, ranked in the top 100 nationally for wrestling podcasts, one of 3 universities. And you sent me something, top 10 Raleigh podcast. I assume this was on the ballot back in November. That's how the citizens of Raleigh voted for this podcast.
They were gearing up for the wrestling season. Now you just got to catch them up to everything that's going on.
Now we just have to do a podcast. There's a lot of pressure, but it really goes to show you the other co-host, Trent Hidley, when he's out of town, this really goes downhill, this operation.
Well, the grind of the podcast broke Trent, and I think he's focused on his personal career. The Eagles been playing, so he's all sidetracked. That's fine.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. The Eagles. No wonder why. Okay.
Yep.
But speaking of Trent, he went over to Colorado for a little while. Then he went out west, and now he's going over to Europe. Wolfpack RTC has taken Trent over to Croatia for a tournament. He had it cut down to 86, so he's back down to weight, but can't ask him because I don't know where he's at. But
he was in there working out this morning. Don't you worry.
That's good. I was going to say, how's Trent looking? This is a big tournament. I know there's a lot of U.S. guys going over. I'm not sure about the international contingent, but this is a really big tournament that he's going to, and I believe it's next weekend.
Yeah. He'll leave this Friday, and I think he wrestles Wednesday. Coach Kelly, our RTC coach, will be with him. So it'll be good for both of them to, get some travel miles in together and obviously some great competition. But, he got a good warm-up match in a couple weeks ago, got a chance to wrestle a freestyle match, and I thought it was a good experience for him. And then he just got on the card for that dual meet that'll be in Iowa in a couple weeks. Yep. I don't know the exact date, but I know he'll have that. So all these little things will obviously, I think, gain him valuable experience, let him know things he can improve on and know what he's doing good. You want these kind of tests, and that Trent likes to compete. So this will be a great opportunity for him.
Sucks a lot less podcast time, it sounds like.
That's all right. The internet still works overseas.
It's true. Yeah. But, so you guys have UNC this weekend. We'll get into that, but neither Hayden nor Trent will be in the building for UNC. That's going to be a weird thing.
Yeah, that's going on a lot of years with them too, being heavily involved, whether they were wrestling or coaching. They'll be tuning in though. I'm sure.
Trent will be
following.
Trent will be getting some updates.
Definitely, we'll be good.
Here's one thing that came out. I wanted to get your opinion on. It was announced, I think, a couple weeks ago. It could have been announced a lot longer since you've done a podcast. So I apologize that this is late, but National Duels Invitational Wrestling event seems to be coming back next November out in Oklahoma City. Tulsa.
Well, same.
It's in Oklahoma.
People that don't go to Oklahoma much, like yourself, they consider it the same. But don't you worry. I'll correct you.
Is that a suburb or Tulsa? I don't know.
Yeah, NCAs was there too, so the Big 12s. It's all right.
Yeah, but you're a big proponent of duels. NC State, great home crowd, so you love duels. This is getting teams to duels. I guess what was your impression of this coming back?
I think it's good. It's healthy. We're at a point in the sport of wrestling, got to continue to evolve. And, I think being able to showcase high-level duels, I think sells. If you got 2 top 10 teams wrestling each other, people tune in. So I think this is going to be a positive thing for the sport of wrestling. And it's never going to be perfect. There's the way the teams that get in and don't get in and the bracketing and the timing. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but I know this, once everyone weighs in and people hit the mat, it's going to be great competition. And I think all eyes will be zoned in that weekend to an event like that. And you're going to see teams show up that probably historically you don't get a chance to wrestle. And if you're doing well, you're going to hit them and see them. So I think you get that. And, you might see teams wrestle each other twice in a year because of it. You get in that tournament, and then if they're in your conference or you already have them on your schedule, fast forward, you got a home or away with them. That's 2 duels. Maybe it's a different lineup each time or a rematch. So it's gonna add some creativity to college wrestling, and I think it's healthy.
I was going to say the thing that caught my eye, the payouts, $200K for first place team. Could you imagine what we could do with the podcast with an extra 200,000 on top of our
we'll
zero
be able
that
to
we
update
get?
graphics and everything.
Wow. I think something has been released. How are teams being picked for this? Do you know? Has there been information on that yet?
I think it's going to be a combo of 2 things. I think based off your NCAA results and your returners, and I think that's going to have a lot to do with it. It's next to impossible to forecast what next year looks like with a lot of teams. But I think if you go off of an NCAA finish and returners, you have a pretty good idea who's going to have a good solid lineup. So we should be in a good spot. And I think by the summer we'll know how all that bracket plays out. But historically, our dual meet teams have been pretty competitive. So we would like to be a part of that and challenge to wrestle some of the best teams in the country that weekend.
I was going to say, I would think the goal was to try to get this top 16 teams there and then kind of maybe work down a little bit.
Yeah. And again, there's no guarantee that everyone's going to accept an invite, but I think you're going to see a lot of good teams that are going to be there that weekend, and you'll see some of the best wrestling that all year in that one weekend combined. So it'll be a positive.
All right. Well, that's not till November. Maybe we'll get you on a podcast again before then. We'll see. So this might be our only chance to talk about it with your schedule.
How
about another thing I noticed on the ACC network, the 2 home duels, you guys beat Duke, you guys beat Pitt. We're going to talk about Pitt in a second, but manning the chair down courtside or mat side, whatever you guys call it. But Nick Gwiazdowski on the call, the ACC network extra announcer.
The big Gwiz is back.
I was going to say, this is a guy, and I joked with him, so it's okay to tell this story, but he hated doing media when he was a student athlete and I was an SID. He swore on national TV at the NCAA tournament, and now here he is.
We can pull that clip up. I think it's still on YouTube.
That is a great clip, because the best part is he talks about Kevin Jack when he swears. So, yeah. But the guy hated media, hated doing all that stuff, and now here he is collecting paychecks, being on the network. But
he's a professional now. I think he's come a long way from having to bite his lip.
I was going to say a lot of life changes, and I promised Gwiz we're going to get him on the podcast to talk about some of these life changes. But obviously, he's back in Raleigh. So how exciting is that? One of your top wrestlers of all time, someone who you've known for years, and just somebody around the program a little bit more.
It's great, not just wrestling, but I think just all aspects of life. Having him in town is a positive, and one, selfishly to get him around the guys and in the room helping, working with RTC, and then his knowledge, just wrestling in general, and putting him on the broadcast. The guy's been, in every major tournament there is at the sport at this level, post college too. So he is someone that can analyze any match, and I think he's, he found his niche being able to commentate and also come in the room and tell guys what they need to work on. But having them around, and anytime you got your alumni moving back into town, I think that's a positive, and they're willing to give back and help out. He's going to be a major asset to NC State wrestling.
Good to have Gwiz around. I've never heard him talk that much in my life, so it's great to hear him on the mic. That's he's entertaining. He's I tell you what, your personalities, you could match them. I mean, you guys are sarcastic and just mean.
I wonder where we get it from.
New York.
Yeah.
All right.
You never had to deal with anything like that. You had life easy until we got here.
I'll never forget the first time I got your call. I was like, who the hell is this guy? But that was before I knew.
We had to beg you to write articles for wrestling, and before you know it, you're doing a podcast.
Come on. Since we have you here, let's focus. We don't know when we're going to get you again on here. Okay, let me see if I can get this to work. One more thing of news. I know we have a lot of wrestling coming up, but we wanted to highlight this event. As you can see on the graphic, hopefully it's working for everybody. Friday, February 21st, you guys, your last duel up at Virginia Tech. Obviously, always a great duel this year, but the Wolfpack Club is putting together something special. Going to get a bus. Heavy snacks. What would you say that is?
I would think, if knowing you and heavy snacks, that's like a meal from what I've seen on our road trips in the past, unless you've changed.
And it says
But I could
beverages.
imagine a nice, a good cheese plate. You know, you can get some chips thrown in there, some pretzels.
So okay. Anyway,
beverages. I think you can consider those adult beverages.
Okay,
maybe.
I was gonna say I would like to see the word adult there. That would be fun.
I would anticipate that that's what we're looking at. Okay. I do know this, that we didn't even really put this out yet, and we've already sold half the seats. So I know this is going to sell out. So I would recommend, if this is something people are thinking of doing, to go ahead and sign up sooner than later, so you get to reserve your spot.
I know you hate buses, so unfortunately you will not be on this bus.
Well, I would. Unfortunately, we got to get there the night before, and you know how that all goes. The negative is I don't get to hear you complain anymore about why we're leaving so early.
That's the thing. I did suggest having a celebrity or two. I don't know where we stand on that, but here's the big news, Pat. You didn't know I was going to do this. The Wolfpack Club is putting this together for $80. They'll drive you up there. They'll drive you back. They'll feed you. They'll give you something to drink. The Wolfpack RTC and the Pack Mentality Poppins podcast. You know what we're going to do, Pat? We're going to offer free admission to any fan that will. You don't have to buy a ticket. Any fan that gets on this bus, the Pack Mentality Poppins podcast will pay for your ticket into this duel.
I like that. That was nice of you, Brian.
It was. So your admission's taken care of. Don't worry about it.
Good for you.
I know you didn't get my joke. It's free admission for Virginia Tech, but
I kind of figured that. But we were already in the arena when that happened. You went to leave to get your coffee, so
I've had one cup of coffee in my life. I'm not a coffee drinker.
All right,
but all right. So fans, honestly, this will be a fun event. If you're a wrestling fan, you were gonna think of going to Virginia Tech, go up with some Wolfpack fans. Sit with the Wolfpack fans. It's gonna be a great duel. Talking about duels, real quick. You guys were home. Pitt's a really good team. I actually like watching Pitt a lot. I think they have a lot of good guys, but you guys took care of business in Reynolds last weekend, 22-13. NC State kind of won the lower weights. Pitt came back and won some of the upper weights, and then Trumbull kind of closed it out. But some guys have some really good results, 3 bonus point wins as well. What was kind of the take that you guys had coming off that good win over Pitt?
Yeah, I thought our guys competed very well. And they do across the board. You look at their lineup, that was a well-balanced team. So to be able to, have the results that we did, that was a positive for where we're at, and continuing to improve week to week. And I think we're starting to see that with some of the younger guys and getting more confidence, more comfortable in their style of wrestling. But yeah, there was a lot of great matches across the board that came down to the wire, and obviously we won some of them, and some of them slipped away from us, and we got to continue to learn and get better. But that kind of level of competition only makes you better, and that's the positive with the ACC right now, is there's a lot of good teams that we're going to get tested every week. So in the backside of things, that keeps guys real sharp week to week. If you got some lesser competition, sometimes you'll see guys, not as focused. But knowing that you're going to see good guys from now until NCAAs, we got to be focused, zoned in, and that's what this time of the year is about, especially if we're in conference play.
I was going to say, speaking of great ACC duels. Oh wait, hold on. Let me get my banner up there because I spent time working on this today. Okay, spent a lot of time on that. This Friday night, number 6 NC State travels to number 18 North Carolina. Battle for the top of the standings. Wolfpack sits at 3-0. UNC is 2-0. They got a great win over Virginia Tech a couple weeks ago at home. Then went on the road, won at Duke. So only 2 undefeated teams in conference play. Pat, this is a rivalry. What does it mean to go over to Chapel Hill and face those guys?
That's good. This is what college sports is about. There's the opportunity to go anytime you got universities this close, there's always a lot of interest in the fan base. So you kind of, as an athlete, you got to be excited for these opportunities. And a lot of bragging rights go into it. So I know guys get excited for this level of competition, and they got to bring their A game. And that's what makes these kind of dual meets what they are. You get to see kids who you sometimes in these duels and historic times in the past, there's new guys that step up and get a win that you're not expecting, or you get a good performance out of maybe someone that's not usually the leader of the dual meet teams, and it happens in these kind of duels. So it's going to be an exciting one, and a lot of hard fought bouts as we get into Friday night competition.
I was going to say, I would say UNC has vastly improved their lower weights, and we're kind of going to start there. And one of the top bouts of the day, 125, number 3, Vince Robinson versus number 13, Spencer Moore. Moore's been with them for 3 years, has a lot of good wins this year. And Vince Robinson, we see what he can do. He's going to really hit some ACC action here coming up at the end of the year. But those two are wrestling probably some of the best in the country right now, and just electric, and it's good styles that they both have, and that's going to be an exciting match.
Definitely. Vinny's always entertaining when you watch him wrestle, so he's one that I think the higher the setting, the more you see out of Vinny. He likes the limelight. He likes the crowds. He's an entertainer. I think you see that when he's here in Reynolds, and that's good. He's a good spark plug, and it gets things going for us as a leader right now. And anytime you got some of your younger guys showing up and competing like that, that gets contagious. So we're just excited to have him, back in our lineup and doing what he does best, and that's competing.
Going up to 133, Kai Arini has number 18, Ethan Oakley. Oakley was at App State for a while. Now he's over at UNC. He transferred in this year. And we haven't, well, because you haven't been on the podcast for a while, but Kai transitioned down to 133. How's it going for Kai down at the new weight? He's been there about a month now.
It's good. It was well needed. When you watch his style of wrestling and what he was doing at 41, I think it fits better for the things that he's capable of doing. And he's had a month to adjust to the weight, which hasn't been an issue. And it's been a positive thing for him. And I think the thing with Kai is as we get zoned in towards the end of the year, you see much more focus out of him, and that's where we're at. He sees the light at the end of the tunnel and knows, his time here and things he's done have put him in position to have a really good finish. And this is another great opportunity to showcase what he's good at. And it's a match we need him to step up and compete and be at his best.
So with Kai moving down, Tyler Tracy's he's come into your lineup. He was at 149, came down to 141. A local product from Pittsburgh, but fans might not know too much about him. Just tell us about Tyler Tracy a little bit now.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of taking advantage of an opportunity. And when Kai made that decision to go down, 41 was a weight that kind of opened itself up. And knowing, what he was doing at 49, he was pretty competitive. And if he could make that sacrifice and get down to weight, he could get a lot of matches in. And he's one of those guys. Again, he's a freshman. He's getting better week to week. He's had a tough schedule, but he's been in a lot of these matches so far. And the good news with Tracy is the more he wrestles and gets that experience, the better he's going to get. And he's been close to pulling up some of these wins, and I think in due time he's going to get his hand raised against some high-level competition, and no better way to do it than a Friday night.
I've been nervous about this next weight all game. See, I'm even nervous saying it right now.
Yeah.
I've been nervous all podcast this next weight. 149, number 19, Coy Biskins.
Yes, you got it down.
I always chicken out with his last name. So, but
I'm glad you came through, because his old man, we're gonna get him on here, and he'll have the Minnesota accent, so he can really do it.
But he's coming off 2 great ranked ACC wins back to back, co-ACC Wrestler of the Week. He's been really progressing his first year in the lineup, but he's got number 5, McNeil, who went up to 149, and we know there were so many Ryan Jack McNeil matchups, but Coy really has a great battle, but he's really come on here this last month this season.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it all year. You got to get these freshmen time to adjust and improve and build some confidence. And that's exactly what we're seeing out of Coy. He's a winner coming out of high school. You make that jump to college. Some guys, take a little longer. Some need a year, some need two. But I think we're seeing a good development out of Coy week to week. He's been in every single match he's wrestled this year, and his schedule has not been easy. And what I like what he's doing is he's improving on the technical things, but he is mentally where he needs to be to make sure, it's short-term memory. Let's know that there's going to be a lot of growing pains as a freshman. Let's not let that, drag you down, and get ready for your next match. And that's what Coy's doing. And I still think he's got a lot of room to improve this year, which is going to be very dangerous. And I'm excited to see him the next month and how good he really gets.
Yeah, I think you said close losses. I think I looked up a stat. Every loss that he's taken this year, it's been 3 points or less. So a lot of one takedown.
He's been a takedown away in almost every match that he's wrestled. And, all you got to do is clean that up come the postseason, and you can reverse a lot of these losses into wins. And I just think he's wrestling 7 minutes straight right now, and that's when he's at his best.
Next matchup, I want to touch on 157, number 14, Ed Scott versus number 32, Sonny Santiago. These two got a history. They met last year. Actually, Santiago got a good OT win for himself and for the Tar Heels in last year's duel, but Ed reversed it at the ACCs. And we've seen Ed lately. He's been coming on and improving each week, getting better as the season goes on. But this is a great matchup because that Sonny Santiago, he's a big dude and he's a strong guy.
Yeah. And it is. I think we're starting to get some of Ed's better wrestling. He usually zones in this time of year, gets his focus going. And I think he knows, with having the experience Ed does, he can make his adjustments and know he needs to be ready Friday. And anytime you've wrestled someone multiple times, you know what to expect. Now it's just getting yourself in that mindset, ready to battle and do the hard things in the matches and go out and compete at your best. But yeah, Ed's been a leader for this program this year, and it's nothing new that we're going to expect out of him on Friday.
I'm going to curse myself because I'm previewing this match, and the guy's name, it's a tongue twister. 174, number 19, Maddie Singleton versus number 23, Joshua Ogusana. He's from transfer from Columbia, has some great accolades up there. He was a big transfer for UNC. Maddie's coming off a very close loss against Pitt. That was, stop and go match, a little controversy at the end, but Maddie's gotten his feet into the ACC here, and this is a great matchup for him at 174.
Yeah, and I think, in Conference 74, you got a lot of guys that are neck and neck with each other. We just got to focus on what we do, and I think that's what we're seeing out of Maddie. He keeps getting better week to week. He's getting the experiences he needs and cleaning up some technical things. And you go back to those matches, regardless who wins or loses, when no takedowns scored in a match, it's a hard thing to digest to see, how someone can win that match or lose that match with not giving up a takedown. And that went on both sides with two really good guys, so we gotta win those matches and learn from those experiences and keep developing his offense, because when he's on, he's dangerous. And I see a lot more focus out of Maddie now, and I think his conditioning looks really good as we push towards, coming to the postseason. We're only getting better shape, and that's what we need out of Maddie, is wrestling 7 minutes nonstop.
I don't know if you watch as much wrestling as I do, but there doesn't seem to be as many scoreless first periods this year, which I really like. There's a lot more offense in the first period.
No, there definitely is, and and that's what the sport needs and wants. It's hard to watch a 0-0 match. You want to see offense.
Okay, cool. Thank you. 184, last one we're going to touch on. Number 13, Dylan Fishback, number 22, Gavin Kane. These two met last year. Fishback got the win in the duel, but I think it was evident Kane was hurt last year, but this is a different Kane now this year. He's a former All-American. He's looking like that style now. Fishback wants to get back on that winning way. And 84 in the ACC, again, just a tough weight. This is a big matchup for tournament seeds here.
Yeah, a lot of good depth at 84, and I think a lot of these guys are very familiar with each other because they've all kind of been in their lineups, last couple of years. So these guys have all wrestled each other. But yeah, 84's got some good depth in the conference, and another great opportunity here to see a ranked guy and someone that has good experience. So Fishback keeps making his adjustments, and at any given time we know he can have a breakout offensive match, and that's when things start getting dangerous for him because he can score points. He's good on top, and he starts clicking from all cylinders. He's going to be in a really good spot. We think every week that he competes, he's only getting better and getting better shape. So this is a great opportunity Friday for Fishback.
Hopefully this is a softball of a question, but since you're not from the area, you didn't go to school here, what is on the wrestling mat the NC State UNC rivalry to you?
What is on the mat?
No, what's the rivalry to you? Yeah, that was a bad question. I got a little long-winded here.
You got I was like the logo, but I don't know. I just think you get that personal pride, that both programs have, and I think when you have two good universities this close, now I'm not just talking wrestling because let's face it, the fans from all these schools, they take this one personal and it's bragging rights. And I know our guys are very prideful. So I think our guys know what they need to do. And the type of people we've attracted at this program are ultra competitive. And so it's just, how competitive are you? And what kind of athlete are you to back it up and show up and compete at this level? And I like the mindset that our team has, and that goes with history and tradition. So it's no different to me, and will be no different 5, 7, 10 years down the road. It's the same mindset. It's going to be the same, and we're going to show up and compete at our best and put it on the line. And we trust what we've done. There's nothing we're going to do today or tomorrow to get us more ready. It's what we've done in the last 6 to 8 months to get ready for this level of competition. So it's time to go and strap it up and see who the best team is.
I usually end episodes with this, but this time I really mean it. I appreciate your time because I know I don't always get your time as much anymore. So
you got 27 minutes of my time, buddy.
I know. I knew you were looking at that clock the whole time. I said, I need 30 minutes.
Well, you're going to hit you for stalling here soon.
Yeah, I needed 30 minutes. I got you in 28 minutes with this podcast. But Pat, this could be a great duel. UNC is vastly improved from last year. You guys are really rolling really good too with a great win recently. And NC State, UNC fans love to see it. So we hope a lot of people, Wolfpack fans, get over to Chapel Hill this weekend because want to see a lot of red over there. It's going to be some really good matchups.
I agree. We'll call it what do they call it? Carmichael West or something?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not into the lingo. I don't know. I know what you mean. Yeah, but let's see a lot of red over there.
With some red, and as our fans do, they show up and support us. So it's much appreciated.
Can't promise heavy snacks, but maybe Pat will bring some candy or something for you and hand it out.
Whatever you need, Brian.
Wolfpack wrestling fans, that's another episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast covering NC State wrestling. As always, Brian Reinhardt, Pat Popolizio, thanks for your time. Go Wolfpack.